Guys, welcome back to the shop. As promised, I ordered some steel. We got our steel in the mail today. That's a nice pristine piece of 1095, and we've gone ahead and I put this knife on this a little plan on the paper. It won't come out exactly like this. I'm sure I'll tweak a few things here and there while I'm working, like this swale on the bottom of this handle. I think we'll change that a little bit, but there's the general design. It's about a 12-inch knife overall. The blade itself is going to be roughly looks to be about right around 6.5 inches is what that'll turn out to be, I think. Well, no, it'll be about 6 3/4 inches from the guard up to the tip. So that should be a fun little project. We're gonna do basically like we did on the chopper. This will be brass. This will be brass. I was thinking about going with a guard that you could slide over, but with the shape of my handle and the way I want to make the guard, I don't believe we're going to be able to do that. But we'll make the guard with brass and we'll just pin it just like we did on the chopper. Same thing on the pommel here. And I know I kind of said that I was going to make a Bowie knife, but a Bowie knife's got a longer blade than that, and that's going to get a little bit more involved. Plus, to make a true Bowie knife, I would have to do a hidden tang with stacked leather, I guess, or something like that. And I want to make this knife for my son. It's not a Bowie knife. We're calling that a Recurve clip point. So, because as you can see, this bottom here has a recurve in it. Instead of coming straight out like my normal clip points would, and up and then having your clip point and come back, we're making this one kind of a recurve clip point. And again, this is a general idea of how I want the knife to look, and it'll come out pretty close to that, because we'll cut that out. We'll cut that out and we will put it on the blade and then mark out where we're going to cut the blade. However, we're going to have to cut some of that steel. That'd be a lot of grinding. We're going to cut as much of it off of there with an angle grinder as we can, and then we'll finish shaping it up on the belt grinder. As you know, there'll be no forging with this knife, because I could take this bar and heat it up, and I could pound in the curve, and but why go through all that when I've got that nice 2x72 Oregon blade maker over there and an angle grinder. Now, when I make my knives out of 5160, it's all leaf springs, so I don't have a choice but to beat that thing into submission on the anvil and get it as close to shape as I can there, and then we still finish profiling it real nice on the grinder. So never worked with this 1095 before, but ordering this 1095 just takes a butt ton of work out of it for me. It's still going to be a handmade knife. It's still going to have to be heated up in the forge and heat treated, and it's still going to have to be tempered in the oven upstairs to get the blade to its proper metallurgy that we're looking for. We're just taking one step out of the process, and that's the forging. And You know, and I like to forge. I love to work on my anvil and stuff. But when you've got a pristine, perfectly flat, straight piece of steel to start with, why am I going to beat on it on the anvil and mess it all up and then have to go through all that straightening and flattening and grinding to get it square again, you know? With this, we'll still, like I say, we'll still fire up the forge and heat treat it and all of that, but we're just not going to be beating it out on the anvil. So without further ado, let's get started on a new night. one number one of the recurve clip point. We've got our general shape done here. Now see, the reason why I ground this so big back here is because I want to put a larger pommel on here, and I want to bring those swells out kind of like we did on that chopper. And I want to do the same thing up here, and I wanted a guard on it, but I wanted to do a full tang. And I couldn't think of how I'm going to slip a guard over this, you know, to slide a guard up here, a traditional type of guard. So we decided we're going to go ahead and do brass, and we'll pin the guard up here and pin the pommel back here. And then we'll put our scales in the center here. We ordered some zebra wood for the scales, but I think that's a pretty wicked looking shape. I like it. We've got it all profiled pretty well. I filed a little slot here. We'll start our plunge grind right there and grind our bevels, and we'll start working on grinding those bevels tomorrow. It's getting kind of late. My steel didn't show up till late this afternoon. It's after 6 o'clock and I'm kind of spent for the day. And I'm really going to have to pay attention when I do these bevels, because with this recurve, it's a different type of grinding than you would do on just a straight, straight bevel with the curve here. You can just slide your thing straight across. But with this recurve in here, we're going to have to kind of go like this and dip it around and then come around, and I'm really going to have to hold it steady and pay attention to try to get those bevels right. So Like I say, we're going to call it on this one today. But there we go, recurve clip point. Kind of resembles a kukri a little bit and a clip point. You can't really be a kukri because I think the blade's too small. The blade is under 7 inches. I think by the time we grind our plunge grind, or do our plunge grind and grind our initial bevels, we're probably going to have about, I don't know, I guess maybe 6.5 inches of blade on here, which is a nice little side knife, you know. That's a nice knife to carry on your side. I've never done this recurve before, so it's going to be interesting to see how these bevels come out. I've been watching some YouTube videos of some other guys and how they grind those, and different guys have jigs and stuff that they made and use, and I don't have a jig. I don't really want to make a jig. I like grinding my bevels freehand. So it's going to be a new experience for me, trying to grind those bevels on that recurve blade. I think we can do it all right. I think I'm probably overthinking it a little bit and reading a little more into it than what there is, but it's going to be a different experience, so it'll be fun to do that. We'll get on that tomorrow in part 2. We should get our initial bevels ground. Hopefully we should get those ground. We'll try to get our pinholes drilled and get this thing heat treated tomorrow and tempered. And then once that's done, then probably onto the hand sanding and you know, cleaning that part of it all, because once we get the handles on, we won't be able to sand like we want to, so we have to get it hand sanded first. And I'm going to just leave this blade alone. We're not going to etch it. We're just going to make it shiny and pretty. Don't know how far shiny we'll go. Depends on what my back and my shoulders and my fingers decide, but we'll probably go up to at least an 800 grit. And then of course we'll hit it on the buffer and shine it up real nice. So aside from the steel that I got in the mail today, I also got my rouge. I got a whole set of rouge. There's black, brown, red, green, white. There's all these different grades of rouge, and up to now I've only had the red and the white that I've been using. And the black, I guess, is a more aggressive rouge that'll really help get any remaining scratches out. But on the bright side, where we're just doing a stock removal on this blade, there's just not going to be a whole lot of, because it's perfectly flat already. So so there's not going to be a whole lot of scratches to have to sand out of it. So I think by the time we're done hand sanding this knife, it should clean up really well on the buffer. So again, thanks for being here, guys. If you haven't yet subscribed, please do. Click on that little bell. You get notified when we put up a new video. We're going to make 2 knives that are similar to this. I think this knife, I'm not sure how I'm going to do it, but I've ordered 2 sets of scales, and I have 2 pieces of steel of this 1080, so or 1095. So we'll make another knife when we're finished with this one. Now that I've done all the work that I did on the competition chopper on the handle, I've got a little better, kind of back in the mode, so we won't run into quite so much trouble. And look at this chopper. This handle's pretty curved in here, so where this and this are, that's quite an angle to have to fit that scale in there properly. And on this Recurve clip point, you know, our brass is going to come pretty straight down here, so our scales will be pretty even cut. And I think this one's going to be a little easier to do. But anytime you start putting pin and brass here and here, we'll probably put scale liners in between there again. And anytime you go start doing all of that, well, you know, it's meticulous. The tolerances have to be just right to make so there's no gaps and all of that. So it'll be a little time consuming, but it won't be horrible. Anyway, thanks again for being here, guys. Get out to your shop and do something, make something, clean your shop. I cleaned my shop today before I started working on this knife. My bench was covered in grinder dust and sawdust and little parts and pieces of brass and my carta and all manner of garbage, and I had all kinds of paper all over the floor over there by the grinder and all over right here where I was slicing paper with that knife. And so I cleaned the shop real well before I got started today so I can mess it up all over again, but start clean, you know. So anyway, we're going to wrap this one up. Thanks, guys. We'll see you on the next one.